My name is Charles, and I will be talking about the Aztecs, their social and political structure. So, just to get started with the agenda, what will we be exploring? I have an introduction. I will be talking about the Aztec and their social structure. I will break down the roles within the social hierarchy of the Aztecs. I will talk about the relationships between social status and political power, and then we will conclude at the end. So, for our introduction, you can see the map on the right, which is the rise and fall of the Aztecs, which is from 1427 to 1521. The map shows their spread and their arrival in Mexico. So, we have a quote here, and the quote is: "The Aztec Empire was a highly centralized and stratified society with a complex political and social structure that relied on a combination of military conquest, tribute collection, and religious symbolism to maintain power and authority." And this is from the Aztec Empire by David Carrasco. My thesis was the social structure of the Aztecs, which was divided into several classes based on factors like occupation and ancestry, had a significant impact on their political structure and power. The roles of the nobles and common people affected political decision making and contributed to the authoritarian nature of Aztec politics. Okay, now on the left here, you see the breakdown of the Aztec social structure. So we'll start at the top. You have your king or high priest, or as I refer to them, your emperor. Below them, you have your council, priesthood, often part of the royal family. Below them, you have your nobles, your merchants and artisans, and then below them, which was your commoners, farmers, and slaves. Um, the social structure of the Aztecs, which was divided into several classes based on factors like occupation and ancestry. At the top, you have your emperor and your nobles, including the emperor and his family. Next were the commoners, who made up the bulk of the population and were further divided into different classes based on their occupation. So these would range from being a farmer, an artisan, trader, soldiers. At the bottom, you had your slaves. The slaves had little to no rights and they were often prisoners of war. Now, the Aztecs did have a strict social hierarchy, but mobility was possible. It was just very, very difficult to move up. The breakdown of roles within the social hierarchy. So you had your emperor, which was the highest ranking individual in the Aztec Empire, and the emperor held significant power and authority. The emperor was seen as a divine ruler and was believed to have a direct connection to the gods. Then below your emperor, you had your nobles, and your nobles had enormous political authority and served as the empire's ruling elite. And these people were placed at the top of the social structure, so they were basically right underneath the emperors. The aristocratic class was further split between the high nobles, who held the positions of power, and the lower nobility, known as the lax leklat, who held positions of lesser authority. The commoners made up the majority of the population, so this was a big population of the Aztecs, and they were further separated into different classes according on their occupations. So you had farmers, who were the most significant of the class of commoners because they were in charge of the food and growing and harvesting, and they basically kept the empire alive. So the farmers were seen as among the commoners, they were the highest among the commoners. Your soldiers, traders, and artisans made up the other commoner classes. The slaves had, like I referred to in the previous slide, had little to no rights, and they were frequently seized in battle or born into slavery. The slaves did have an option buying their freedom or earning it through service to their lords in the non-permanent Aztec civilization. The relationship between social status and political power. So here we're going to talk about how their social status and political power balance. The emperor was a focal point of the complex hierarchy Aztec political system. The emperor was regarded as a divine figure, and little to no restrictions were placed on him. So basically, the emperor could do whatever they would wanted to do or whatever they felt was best for their empire. So to sustain his legitimacy, The emperor was also required to uphold specific religious and moral duties. They also had the power to make decisions regarding warfare, trade, alliances with other nations. The emperor also had a significant role in the economy of the Aztec Empire. They oversaw the collection of tribute from conquered territories and had the power to redistribute resources as they saw fit. Now, there were several councils and administrative bodies that managed various aspects of the empire beneath the monarch. The Council of Music, which regulated religious rites and kept the Aztec calendar, and the Council of Four, which gave the emperor advice on military, economic, and political issues, were the two most significant of these. And this is going to be continued. We're going to move down to the nobles or the nobility. The nobility possessed considerable political sway and were in charge of running the empire, controlling the troops, and making crucial choices. Due to their major religious positions and responsibilities for sustaining Aztec society's traditions and customs, their aristocracy played a significant role in both religious and cultural of the empire. The limitations of the commoner and political power. So, in a nutshell, the commoners, farmers, slaves, they had little to no political power. They basically had to fall in line with what the nobles and the emperor saw best fit. Their voices weren't heard, and it they didn't have much pull, so they had to get in where they fit in per se. Right, actually, when we get to the end here, when we talk about weakening the Aztec Empire, we saw this, and this is pretty much how the Aztec Empire fell with the invasion of the Spanish conquistador Cortez, who overthrew the Aztec Empire in 1521. The Aztec Empire was very weak, and because of this problem that they had of conquering other territories, it weakened their empire, and this is a direct result of how they fell. In conclusion, the Aztecs' political and social structure had a tremendous influence on their empire. The Aztecs had a highly centralized government with a sophisticated bureaucracy at the top and a strong ruler at the helm. This method enabled effective resource management and coordination, which was crucial for empire development and maintenance. The Aztecs also established a system of collecting tribute, which we talked about in the previous slide, which aided the empire's economic growth and expansion, which is why the Aztec Empire was so big and stretched across lands. The governmental framework enabled the effective gathering and transfer of resources, which aided in the support of the population and the maintenance of stability across the empire. Overall, the Aztec governmental system was vital to the growth and preservation of their empire, but it also had enormous ramifications for individual rights and freedoms and society.